Hi, it's Mike Spatola, and we're talking about how to find a job after you graduate. All right, on-set versus working in a lab. The person who fits on set is someone who's generally more outgoing, can take a fair amount of abuse, can stand the long hours. I feel like it's sort of a young person's job because I could handle a lot more when I was younger. Plus, I get to travel to some really cool places. After you're maybe a little bit older, maybe you settle down and you have children, it's a little harder to travel all over the world for gigs, unless you have a really supportive spouse. But I've seen a lot of sort of marriages stay together and a lot not stay together over location work. So, I do feel like set work, I know some people who are older than me that are still on set every day. God bless them. I don't want to do it anymore. That's just me. I've done my time. And, when you have a resume that, like I said, I only have a few on there now, but if I actually put everything that I've worked on there, there'd be a couple hundred projects, right? I don't want to do it anymore. I'm tired. I'm old. I go to bed early, right? But I think there's a certain personality for set work that differs from the personality of shop work. Shop work, you could actually be a wallflower, and not be super outgoing and work successfully in a shop. Right? You're the creative artist that likes to sit in the corner and maybe never show anybody your artwork, kind of, I don't know how to describe it any better than that. It reminds me of Ali Sheedy from The Breakfast Club. She didn't talk and she kept sketching and stuff like that. That's what it reminds me of. But the type of person who can work in a shop, shop work is basically an 8-hour day. That's like normal work hours. Yeah, I could handle that, right? If you are somebody who is in a serious relationship or has children, maybe shop work is a better choice for you because then you are not traveling all around the world, and you have more time with your family. These are all decisions you have to make. When you're young, you can test them all out. In my career, I did a lot of things. I did set work, I did shop work. Sometimes I did shop work, and then from the shop went on to the movie on set we were working on in the shop. So if when I was working on Terminator 2, I got to go on set for that as well. So not only did I paint a lot of things, work on a lot of the effects in the shop at Stan Winston's, I also got to go on set and puppeteer, which is cool, right? So for me, and I think this is true for a lot of artists, we have short attention span, right? We have, we could love something one minute and the next minute it's like, no. Having, say, a month on set, after that month on set, I don't want to be on set anymore. It'd be nice to just go work an 8-hour day in the shop, building stuff, sending it out to someone else to deal with. And having it both ways is kind of a good thing. If you have the skills and the personality for both, try them out. There's not much else I can say about it. Just try it out. What works for you, right? A lot of our kids want to go work in a creature shop, right? Their goal when they come to CMS is to work on rubber monsters. They want to make rubber monsters, right? Some discover over time while they're here that, hey, beauty's not so bad and it's pretty lucrative, so some are more after the money, some are after the fame, some just want to create artwork. Some of the things that I think are important on set, obviously, once you're on set, you are dead silent. You don't speak. Certainly when they're rolling, you don't speak, but even when they're not rolling, you're quiet. When actors are rehearsing or performing for camera, you never make eye contact with them. You never catch their eye line because it throws them off. And I've seen, a few actors sort of maybe lose their temper a little bit and say, I want that person off my set. Doesn't happen all the time, but every once in a while you get somebody who's just like, I've had it, enough, get this person off my set. They keep staring at me while I'm working, right? So you never make eye contact, you never break their eye line, you are pretty much silent, you disappear, wear dark clothes so you disappear into the background. But like in the trailer, you get there early. That's set etiquette. You get there at least a half hour early. If your call time is 9, you're there at 8:30. Why? Because you need to set up. You need to be prepared. When that actor walks in and sits in your chair, you're not still munching on breakfast or having your coffee. You were there waiting on them to sit down so you can start your work. You got to learn to read your actors, because some actors like music in the trailer in the morning. It kind of lifts them up. Other actors want dead silence in the morning. You don't know that, obviously, right away. So generally what I'll do on the first day is kind of keep it a little, I'll have music on very low, and then I'll ask them, hey, is it okay if we keep the music on, or do you want it silent in here? It's not a hard thing to do, just ask. You are there to be that actor's best friend, whether you like it or not, whether you get along or not, for the run of the show. And you're there to take care of their needs, and you're there to serve the director. So those are some of my big ones. What do I do if someone comes in and says, you got 5 minutes to do this? It's like, you have no choice. They come in, you did, whatever it is, you got 5 minutes to do this. And this happens a lot more than we'd like it to happen. You got to do something. So if it's a wound, maybe it would be good to have a few prepared, say, Praz transfers, because they glue on in 30 seconds, and just a little bit of paint and send them on their way. But if it's something that you're not prepared for, you do your best that you can in those 5 minutes, knowing that you're going to follow them to set. They're still going to be messing around with the lights and whatever it is. And you work on them until they go rolling, and then you jump out. So even though they say 5 minutes, you'll generally have a few more than that. All right, union versus non-union. What's the better route for you? Well, that's some questions you have to ask yourself. You can work your entire career non-union and have a decent career. Just know that you're not going to be on set on a big movie. You'll be doing probably like low budget B movies, things like that. If you want to work on the blockbusters, you want to work on the big union pictures, you got to be in the makeup union. That's the simple fact. And obviously, getting in the union isn't an overnight thing. It's an ordeal. It takes time. And it takes time for a reason. All right? This is where I'm going to jump on the side of the union, because a lot of people, they want to join the union right away. They get out of school, it's like, how do I get in the union? You pay your dues. It's not an overnight thing. It's, they have this set up the way they have it set up for a reason. They don't want just anybody to just pay their dues and be a union member. They need to know that you've got many projects under your belt, enough on-set hours to be a union makeup artist. So if you think union is something you want, then start acquiring the things that you need. So you start saving all your call sheets. You start saving all your pay stubs. Get letters from producers. Those are like the 3 things, right? Because once you have enough, you've done your 60, 60, 60, 60 days a year for 3 years, or best 3 out of 5, whatever the standard is these days. Once you've done all that, then you have to deliver all that material to contract services, which is not the union. It's the sort of security guard outside the bar. It's like the bouncer. And they check all of that. And if they approve, then you're welcome to join the union. And you have, you stand up there and you get sponsored, and, somebody holds your hand and get your pin and all that stuff. It was a lot harder a long time ago to get in the union. because you actually had to take a journeyman test. They don't have the journeyman test anymore. You had to pass that test to become a journeyman. You couldn't key a show unless you were a journeyman. You could be a day checker, you could still do makeup, but you couldn't be, the key makeup artist. You couldn't be the department head.
What is a journeyman?
I mean, it's like any other union, like you journeyman plumber or a journeyman carpenter. It's the same kind of thing. It's like you've got enough experience to supervise a production. No, not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily pay more. There are low-budget movies that are still union, and they don't have a huge budget. So there's like tiers. I can't explain the tiers. It's been a long time since I've had my status. So, and now with web series and all those other sort of facets of the industry, they have different tiers. And so like a tier 0 is like the bottom of the barrel kind of thing. And you're not going to make a lot of money, even if you're union. On non-union shows, if you're good and you've got enough, on your resume, you could still command a high price. It's just, to be in the union means you have the union sort of protecting your rights, if you will. Like if there's meal penalties or you go overtime or things like that. Non-union, you don't always get paid your overtime, right? But union, they fight for you for that, right? If you've worked your quota number of hours, you get health care. Those are nice benefits. You're not going to get that if you were non-union. You have to pay your own health care. As a makeup artist in the film industry, you are a business. You are your own business, and you should run it like a business. You need to, in California and LA, you have to have a business license, right? It's not such a big thing. It sounds like it's a big deal. It's really not. It's just you have to report every year how much you made, and if you make under $300,000, you don't pay any tax to the city, right? But that's how it's laid out right now. But you should always make sure you save all your receipts for everything that you purchase. That is a business expense. Have a spreadsheet, transfer those receipts into the spreadsheet, but don't throw the receipts away. Keep the receipts and itemize them, put them in folders or whatever, but keep them itemized so that, God forbid, someday you get audited, you have the receipts to show, right? And, going to the movies every week, yes, as in the film industry, we have entertainment expenses because it's research, but I think that's only going to go so far. If you go to a movie, a couple times a week, they're going to go, that's just entertainment. That's not a business expense, right? If every time you go to McDonald's, say it's a business meal, yeah, they're not going to buy that stuff. A business meal is when you actually go have a meeting with a potential client or coworker or someone you were entertaining to possibly get work from. That's a business meal. All right. A business meal isn't two buddies going out for a pizza. Retirement. Well, I think you can never start too early, right? People don't start early enough. Most people in our industry don't start early enough. There's some, or at least there was, when I worked at Stan Winston, he actually had a retirement plan. I don't know that exists anymore. It's legacy. It's not Stan Winston's anymore. I don't know what they do. And I'm not, deifying them or condemning them. I'm just saying that when I worked there, they had the option to go for this retirement plan, and Stan would match the money that you put in. It was really nice. And the people who did it were happy that they did it, But as makeup artists on set, we generally don't plan those things. It's like, sometimes, especially early on, you're living paycheck to paycheck. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how everybody starts out. But you should still be like, yeah, even though it's hard, I'm going to put a few dollars away here and a few dollars away there, And at the end of the year, if you saved $1,000, that's better than nothing. Do something, have a savings account, and try to never touch it. Yes, it could be considered rainy day money, emergency money, but try really hard to never touch that money. Just keep adding to it. Don't take away from it. It actually hurts when you have to dip into that. That's what I want it to do to you. I want it to hurt you to dip into that money. All right? I want you to be thinking, if I take money away from that now, God forbid something happens and I can't put it back. They have retirement plans where you could borrow from, and you get penalties for borrowing from it. If you take money out now, you got to pay taxes on it and such. I can't give you business planning advice. Talk to your accountant. By the way, get an accountant. I have an accountant. I've had that same accountant for 25 years. There's business loyalty there, right? They've been good to me. I've had, before that, bad accountants and giving bad advice or whatever it was. But before I was with my current accountant, I did get audited. And my accountant, who was supposed to show up to the audit, didn't even show up to the audit. We had to call him and say, get your behind down here. The audit is today. Oh, did you really want me to be there? I was like, we had a meeting just the other day about this. So, you know what? Get a good accountant, get a reference from somebody, right? Get a reference from me. I'll give you my accountant, right? Get a reference for a good accountant that understands the entertainment business, right? That knows the deductions we can take as makeup artists or people who serve the entertainment industry, and let them give you business advice as far as, should I get an IRA? How much should I put away? Yeah, they can do all that for you, right? Most of them can set it up for you. Sometimes they can't, and they're just giving you advice, but they'll refer you to someone who can set that up for you. You can just go to your bank and set it up, right? But you should be doing something to prepare for the rainy day and prepare for the future and eventually retirement. All right. Something I tell all of my students is, when you get out of school and you're not going to school every day anymore, you're not going to sit there and wait for the phone to ring. What you're going to do, even if there's no gigs to be had at the moment, is you're going to do one thing, at least one thing, every single day that brings you closer to your goal. Whether it's fixing up your social media, making sure it's clean and it's only makeup work in there, building your website, working on your resume, doing portfolio pieces. If you're not doing anything and you look at your portfolio and go, yeah, the girl with the beard isn't cutting it, I should lay a beard on a dude. Then get a male friend over and lay a good beard on them and put it in your portfolio, okay? So always do something, whatever, it could be any one of those things, every single day, and it'll move you closer to your goal. And when you move closer to your goal, what happens? Your goal starts moving closer to you. Don't be too picky in the beginning about the jobs you take. Get the experience. Get out there and get experience. That could be student films. We've been real lucky to have good relationships with AFI, and they use a lot of our graduates on their student films. By the way, they do pay something. It isn't free work. You're making some money. It's not a lot, but you're getting experience. And you never know who you're going to meet on those student films, because those people who are in film school may have friends who are helping them that are not in film school, that are real film industry professionals or real actors. And so you can make connections there. You can start building your network that way. And then the other jobs that you should be thinking of isn't just movies, movies, movies. You can be You can get in with local theater. You can work with photographers. You can do makeup for photo shoots, for headshots. You can do weddings. Around Halloween, you can work in haunted houses. And believe me when I tell you that working in haunted houses is not only a blast, but it teaches you to work so quickly and efficiently, it's going to make you a better and more desirable artist on set. Because if you're fast and good, they're going to love you. So those are some of my tidbits of information. Hopefully you can take something away from that and start working as quickly as possible. This is Mike Spatola, and I wish you all the best in finding work post-graduation. You can do it. Just go for it.